There is a moment when isolation stops feeling temporary. Not dramatic, not frightening, just permanent. In places like the open ocean, the deep desert, or Antarctica, the human mind slowly realizes something unsettling. Nothing is coming. No interruption. No external rhythm. No familiar signals. Only space. And time that no longer behaves the way it used to. At first, isolation feels physical. You notice the cold, the heat, the emptiness around you. But the mind still works the way it always has. It looks for patterns. It expects change. It waits. And then, quietly, that expectation fades. Not all at once. Not consciously. It simply stops checking. In extreme isolation, the brain loses its reference points. In the ocean, the horizon never changes. In the desert, every direction looks the same. In Antarctica, white replaces depth, distance, and scale. The environment stops giving feedback. And without feedback, the mind begins to turn inward. Humans rely on contrast to feel oriented. Light and shadow. Noise and silence. Movement and rest. Extreme isolation removes contrast. Everything becomes evenly spaced. Evenly quiet. Evenly still. The mind is left without edges. Time is the first thing to change. Minutes stretch. Hours collapse. Days lose their edges. Without social cues, schedules, or variation, time stops being something you move through and becomes something you are trapped inside. People often describe it as floating or sinking, but never moving forward. Clocks continue to function, but internally, time becomes emotional rather than chronological. Some moments feel endless. Others disappear completely. Memory no longer organizes experience. It fragments it. As time distorts, attention narrows. The brain, designed to process complexity, is suddenly given almost nothing. No voices. No faces. No new information. So it simplifies. Thoughts become repetitive. Memories replay without warning. Small sensations feel unusually intense. The mind is no longer occupied. It is exposed. In Antarctica, researchers report a strange calm after weeks of isolation. Not relief. Not happiness. A flattening. Emotions don't disappear, they lose contrast. Fear becomes dull. Joy becomes distant. Urgency dissolves. The nervous system downshifts, as if deciding that high alert is no longer useful. This is not a failure of the mind. It is regulation. When nothing changes, constant emotional intensity becomes inefficient. So the mind quiets itself. In the desert, this often shows up as emotional numbness. People stop reacting to discomfort the way they expect to. Pain feels abstract. Hunger becomes background noise. The mind conserves energy by reducing emotional output. It is not giving up. It is adapting. On the open ocean, isolation does something slightly different. With nothing but water in every direction, the mind begins to feel unanchored. There is no behind and no ahead. Only presence. This often leads to a quiet detachment from identity. When there is no audience, the sense of self softens. There is no one to perform for. No one to explain yourself to. Even inner explanations begin to feel unnecessary. Who you are, your name, your role, your history, starts to feel optional. You are not a personality anymore. You are a body maintaining itself. This is one of the most profound effects of extreme isolation. The erosion of the social self. Human identity is built through interaction. Through being seen. Through response. When no one is watching, the performance stops. And what remains is something simpler and quieter. People often expect isolation to be mentally loud. But it's usually the opposite. Thoughts slow down. Inner dialogue softens. Language itself becomes less important. The mind shifts from narrative to sensation, from meaning to survival. Silence does not create new thoughts. It removes the need for them. The mind stops commenting on experience and begins inhabiting it. In long-term isolation, even memory changes. The past feels unreal. The future feels hypothetical. Only the present has weight. Not because it is meaningful, but because it is unavoidable. This is why extreme isolation changes people permanently. Not by trauma, not by fear, but by subtraction. It removes layers of stimulation, identity, and expectation until the mind reaches a quieter, more primitive state. One that modern life rarely allows. Some people find this state disturbing. Others describe it as peaceful. But almost everyone agrees on one thing. When isolation ends, returning is harder than leaving. Noise feels aggressive. Faces feel overwhelming. Time feels rushed. The mind has learned a different rhythm. Extreme environments reveal something uncomfortable about human psychology. We are not distressed by emptiness immediately. We are reshaped by it slowly. Silence does not attack the mind. It waits. And eventually, the mind changes to meet it. This is not about Antarctica, or the desert, or the ocean. Those are only places. This is about what happens when the human mind is left alone long enough to hear itself clearly. Silence.